Good morning, traders. Today is Thursday, February 10th. My name is Charles, and this is the Pirate Traders live stream. Okay, what are we looking at here this morning? Well, yesterday we broke out of a previous balancing area, had a very large gap to the upside. Then we spent the whole day rotating sideways. We then rotated all night long until just recently when the CPI data came out about an hour ago, and then the market sold off. In so doing, we have backfilled the gap that we left behind from yesterday. So at the open this morning, it is considered that yesterday's gap is filled, but then of course we will have a new gap, a gap down, that we will have at the open. So the first thing we'll be looking for, since the overnight inventory is net short, almost entirely net short, we will be looking for a counter auction to the upside. So we'll be looking for the market to trade higher and then see where does it find resistance. If it pushes up and it finds resistance anywhere before it gets to yesterday's low or at yesterday's low, any resistance in there is considered a gap and go, which is the most bearish scenario that we could have here today. Another thing that would be very bearish is if we spend very much more time inside Tuesday's range. Getting back inside of Tuesday's range is pulling us back down into a previous balancing area. So it's okay for a quick dip into a previous balance, but we need to find support and get back up and out pretty quick, because the more time we spend down here inside Thursday's range, the higher the probability that we need to trade to the opposite end of balance. And I would say for sure if we break 4,500, we're definitely heading down at the very least to 44.79, and then if not, 44.56. Okay, so if this level here, if this little node of volume from Thursday, if that breaks, we are certainly heading down to here. And then if we can't find support at the base of those single prints, we're heading to the low of the day, which is also that balance area low. Okay, passing back into balance increases the odds. We head to the opposite end. But right now, we don't need to worry about that. We're just dipping into it right now. And like I said, we would expect a counter auction to the upside at the open. So that will give us a better indication. Does it push up and then immediately find resistance and start coming lower? Then we start to get bearish. Does it find resistance at yesterday's low and head lower? Then we get bearish. But for the moment, the focus is on the counter auction to the upside. We're also back testing on the daily. Market is open. We're also back testing this down trend line that we had broken above yesterday. So we're testing that as well for support here. Let's see what the market has for us. So again, we do have a gap. So this is not a day where you expect chop. This is the day where you expect the market to pick a direction and start to move. Is it going to try to fill the gap? Where does it find resistance? This red arrow that you see here, that shows the gap. So finding resistance anywhere inside that red arrow is bearish. Good morning, Chris. Good morning, Diego. David Glass in the house. Philip is here. Cyrus. Happy gap fill to all. Happy gap fill. Philip, bunch of single prints. Oh, yeah. Big Ray, good morning to you. Cyrus is saying he's guessing we're going to get a counter auction to the open, get a half a gap fill. Let's see if we get that. That would be right about that balance area high. So we could definitely see some resistance in there. Jimmy Woo, good morning to you. Donkey in the house. Oh, yeah, I forgot. You bought those puts right at the end of the day yesterday. Man, another brilliant trade. I would say take profits on them and then you can re-enter if we pass back below the opening price again. Rev, greetings to you. Amir in the house. That inflation, though, oh, it's tiny. It's a little tiny bit of inflation. Laser Eye, good morning to you. Dean in the house. Nunez is here. NW. Arthur. Ocean Blue already had a winner sitting on hands. Sitting on hands with a gap fill. You know, it's an opportunity. Gaps present great opportunities first things in the morning. You know you have a probability of trying to fill it, and you know what it means if you can't. So, mornings like this, I look to take trades. Nor Auto Trader, good morning to you. Scooball in the house. David V is here. Thank you for the reminder, Blue. Let's get those thumbs up going. Only 24 likes this morning. Got to be more than 24 people that appreciate a counter auction to the upside. Nicholas is here. Charles, do a poll. Good call. Good call. Trading Donkey took profits on half. Even if the rest goes to zero, I made money. Oh, even if the rest goes to zero, I made money. Yep. Trader Ned in the house. John the Jeweler, welcome. Happy to have you. David C. Ahoy, ahoy. Ranjan NJ, welcome to you. All right, we got continuation of that counter auction to the upside. Still looking for resistance. Okay, very little resistance there at the high from the 3rd. So looks like we're trying to backfill this gap. Next resistance will be half back from the overnight, 45.48, 50, or sorry, 45.49. FRM, good morning to you. Welcome. All right, the poll is up. We got more than half the gap filled. So are we going to get a full gap fill and then resistance that pushes us back down? Are we going to get a gap fill and then just push right back up into yesterday's range and go higher? Or will we get no gap fill? We'll get resistance before we get to yesterday's low and then get continuation lower. Let me know what you think in the chat. I probably should have asked this much earlier, but anyway, it's out there. Hit me with your votes. Completely anonymous. Nobody knows who you are or what you said. I only had 15 people voting out of 110. Certainly there must be some more brave souls willing to participate. Ronald, good morning to you. Welcome. David Cooper feeling bearish. He thinks this is the beginning of a massive sell-off. It could happen, a gap and go, if we were to find resistance at or below yesterday's low is an incredibly potent tool. It is a sign of momentum to the downside. However, we should keep in mind that momentum was all created in less than an hour based on a news-driven event. So that does not necessarily imply a larger trend in the day. To me, the breakout of balance is still the more potent trend. So if we get up there and we get resistance, come back down, we look to see, can we find support around this high, these highs right here? If so, we can get continuation higher because it's still a breakout of that balance. But it's if we start to pull back down into balance, that's where we get worried. Then you'd be right, and we'd have a pretty bad red day. All right, let's close the poll. We got 50 votes. Let's see where we stand. The results are in. 37% think we're going to fill the gap and go higher. 37% think we're going to fill the gap and then sell off. And 23% don't think we're going to make that gap fill. So that is a highest percentage of people think we're going to sell off today. Lowest percentage of people think we're going to trade back into yesterday's range and get continuation. And that is the group that I am in. I think that we find support right here around the balance area high and we get continuation back up into yesterday's range. But it's just a guess at this point. We don't know yet. Scuba Pirate Traders, it's a big gap. Filling that isn't a little bullish. Yeah, I mean, sure, filling a big gap right away is bullish. It's just also a further sign that this sell-off was just an emotional reaction, right? Anytime this is the reason that single prints are so potent as a signal that need to be backfilled, because they're a sign of emotion. They're a sign that the market freaked out and people had no time to think. They just went short. They just closed every long they had and added on new shorts and took the market lower. So anytime the market makes a decision based on emotion, it's got to backfill it to make up its mind. So yes, filling the gap would be kind of bullish if we did it quickly, but it's really whether or not we get resistance at yesterday's low that will tell us if there are new sellers stepping into the market. Sellers that have had time to digest the news that freaked these ones out. We shall see momentarily. Trading Donkey, put up the bullish banner then? I'll put up the bullish banner when I see how we react to yesterday's low. Crypto Techie, looks like price is in the middle of two naked POCs. Oh boy, we've got a Peter Resnicek student over here. Talking about those virgin volume pointed controls. I just noticed we have a level right here at 45.3750 with only 190 contracts. That slightly increases the odds we need to just do a little more business down there. I usually like to see over 200. I mean, 190 obviously is very close. But see something, say something. That's my policy. Jason, if I ever stop trading, I'm remaining a sub for two reasons: Charles's sea shanties and Donkey's commentary. I will say the chat got very quiet when Donkey was on vacation. He is certainly the spirit animal of the chat. All right, they want that gap fill, and they're going to get it. Okay, so we've absorbed the overnight activity. We've gotten ourselves back to the zero line on the ticks. And at the moment, we've got new buyers starting to pile in. So we're looking for resistance here at yesterday's low. If we don't get it, that is the first bullish signal of the day. We can then, if we're able to push up into yesterday's range, we can then add the retest of the balance area. So we broke out of balance, came back down, retested it, and found support, which is a second bullish argument. So let's look for some resistance. If not, methinks that may have just been a reaction to the news. A liquidation break that has retraced, bringing in stronger hands buyers. This is where I want to see the ticks stay above the zero line. I don't like that the instant we got to yesterday's low, we instantly pulled the ticks down. Got to see those ticks start to pump. Okay, they're still getting resistance here. So I think we need a pullback to test this node right here for support. Remember, we got that 150 contracts, needs backfilling. Okay, more resistance. If they can't bring in the buyers up here, they got to bring them in right here. Ranjan, could you please explain a liquidation break? Yeah, I mean, this is a textbook liquidation break right here, so yes, I can. So essentially, you can get a liquidation break at any moment. You can even get it if the market is trending higher. It can suddenly have a liquidation break. But most of the time when you get a liquidation break, the market is rotational. It's going sideways. Oh, man, this is bullish. Give me those ticks. Still getting resistance. Anyway, so yeah, normally what happens is you have rotation, and then suddenly something will cause the market to start to break, right? And as it, I'll actually just expand out the overnight. Okay, so you got weak hands buyers right here at the low, right? The K low was a poor low because of the J low, one tick away, and period low, weak hands buyers. They come back down again in the A period, weak hands buyers. D period low, weak. F period low, weak. G period low, weak. So you know all the buyers that are buying the lows in here are weak hands traders. What does weak hands mean? It means they're short-term traders. So if they don't get profits for it right away, they'll give up and the market will come right back again. So here they are, they're buying, they're trying to get the market higher. And then the news comes out and the market starts to fall. Well, now these sellers panic. These buyers panic. So they get out of their positions. Boom, falls again. Now these buyers start to panic. They get out of their position. Boom, falls again. They get out. Boom, falls again. They get out. So on and so forth. So you end up getting a very quick drop in the market. The tempo will be very, very fast, and the volume will be very, very thin, as you see here. Look how big and thick the volume is up here, and then it gets thin as it starts to fall. That is a sign of a liquidation break. Now, normally when you get a liquidation break, the market immediately rotates back up. Because what happens is you squeeze out those weak hand longs, and then you have stronger hands buyers that step in right there and then take it right back up. In this particular case last night, they got new selling on top of it. We know from this node. So the first drop was the liquidation. Then they got resistance, new money selling that took us down to the open. But you can see the fact that we bought it right back up to, we're very close to now the base of that breaking point. That is a sign that we shook out weak hands and brought in stronger hands, which is what a liquidation does. So this is starting to feel bullish to me, but they need a pullback. I think they need to come back and test this 45, 46 level. They're getting a lot of resistance here. All right. Well, can't deny it anymore. It's bullish. We are back up in yesterday's range. We filled the gap. We got some resistance at yesterday's low, but they didn't pull back down ever. From the moment they entered yesterday's range, they have stayed inside yesterday's range. So this is bullish. It is not a gap and go. We also just now backfilled those single prints left behind from that liquidation break. So that increases the odds it was just a liquidation break and that we have new stronger buyers. So this feels bullish to me. Resistance all inside yesterday's range because it was rotational. And then this big node right here. Basically, our closing price of yesterday is the highest level of resistance I see. If we break through that, I would certainly be looking for continuation higher. Listen, guys, we broke out of balance. We came back and retested it. That's bullish. We had a massive gap. We filled it, got very little resistance at the low. That's bullish. Value area is pushing right up against the highest ticks of the day. That's bullish. The only thing that would get me bearish at this point is trading below halfback. I could see us coming back down here looking for support one more time. MK, CPI, Fed, whatever. It's only a blimp, and the market resumes higher. Something is broken. Looks market wants to catch up with fundamentals. New phenomenon. Yeah, I mean, I think it doesn't feel like a new phenomenon, does it? The market has been disconnected from the fundamentals for the last couple years. When I took courses with Jim Dalton, he used to have this thing he'd say every day: look in the mirror and tell yourself, I am a short-term trader. My long-term perspectives mean nothing when it comes to my short-term trading. Because if you get too stuck thinking big picture, you'll miss the moves that happen day to day. So just focus on what is the market doing right now. That's all that matters if you're trying to make money right now. Yeah, I saw a great quote the other day. I'd have to paraphrase it. I can't remember exactly how it was worded, but it was brilliant the way it was worded. It was something along the lines of like, if you've got to be like a perma bear or a perma bull, be a perma bull, you'll make way more money and you'll be right way more often. And it's true. It's true. The markets spend more time going up than down. Crypto techie, that's true. The S&P is engineered to keep going up. Just look at the 100-year chart. It makes sense, right? All those companies, they're a lot bigger than they used to be. They've built more factories. They've hired more employees. They've invented more goods. They own more patents. They've gotten more efficient. They spend most of their profits on stock buybacks. MK, crude's pumping. Crude's been on a rip, man. Oh, I guess not. I was looking at it a few days ago. I guess it got itself a little pullback. These highs would have been a good entry. 88, 77. So on the daily, we can see today's candle back tested the balance area and it back tested that downtrend. Okay, so like I said, should be some resistance around the closing price of yesterday. If it's able to poke through that, I'd be looking for a big push higher. But I do suspect we're going to get some resistance in here and spend a little bit of time rotating. Don't think I've ever seen a trend day higher that started with a gap down. I suppose it's possible. Chris Yee, now that the market generated information is telling us the market is bullish, how do we trade that bullishness? Wait for a pullback to find support and go long? Yeah, wait for the pullback. I think you're going to find support in this node right at yesterday's low. So you can wait for a pullback, or you can do like a scalp trade where you get in with a very tight stop and you just see if you get anything for it. You know what I mean? So you like go long here, stop right here, put your take profit right there. And then if it starts to push higher, you can always just kind of pull your take profit up and then move your stop below and just see if you get continuation. But yeah, the better move is to wait for a pullback and buy the support. Trading Donkey, I can't remember any time in recent history where we had a move like this that retraced fully immediately. Yeah, yeah. If by recent you mean the last few days. Uh, What are you talking about, Donkey? That shit doesn't happen. It literally happened like twice last week or 3 times where we had a day that the market spent the whole day pushing one direction and retraced it instantly. Yeah, here was one. We pushed from 24 down to 61, so almost 100 points. And then instantly retraced it. Did it over here. Pushed all the way up, instantly retraced it back down. So I beg to differ. This to me just looks like a regular good old-fashioned liquidation break. It's just a coincidence it happened to happen in the last hour of the overnight and the first hour of the trading day. But it was still just squeezing out weak hands, bringing in stronger hands. What was weirder to me was what happened yesterday, where we got the gap up and then just rotated at higher prices. You remember at the end of the day yesterday, I was saying it was weird that we didn't get a trend higher. We also didn't get a pullback. So I think the retest of the balance area highs was a good idea for Monsieur Market. Was healthy. Yeah, MK, there's that too. Well, in happier news, New York just lifted the indoor mask mandate. So, free at last. No mask from the restaurant door to the restaurant table. Good times. All right, so I'd be looking for support here in this node around 55 that we created earlier this morning. We did a lot of grinding in there and brought in a lot of volume. So we'd expect those buyers to hold for another rotation back up. If it fails, though, and we pull back down to half back at 45.45, that still wouldn't be bearish to me. I should really probably be neutral now, as I feel like we're probably just going to rotate around in here. Certainly don't think we're setting up for a trend day higher. Like I said, you wouldn't get that on a gap down. So probably sideways is the most likely. But if this node right here does start to fail, if we get below, say, 45.40, then I'd get bearish once again. But I remain bullish up in here. Bullish to neutral. So let me ask you, Donkey, clearly you're very bearish. What would change your mind? What would make you think this market's just going to go sideways? It doesn't need to pull back. That it's not bigger players setting us up for a big dump. If we find support right here around yesterday's low, All right, so with the printing of the C period, we've left behind some single prints from the B period. So we would expect the market has a higher probability of backfilling those at some point today. And then we'll look for support right at the base of those single prints, looking for continuation higher. If not, it will probably mean the market is rotational. And if we get the C period below the B period low, I'll treat it as rotation. So I'll be looking to long down here and short up here, even though we'll still be inside the initial balance. All right, guys, and with that, I shall bid you all farewell and wish you the best of luck with your trading. If you're a member of the Brigade, head on over to the private stream. If not, think about joining. It only costs $10. It's a party. Everyone loves it. All right, guys, have a good rest of your day.